The truth is that if you go into dating looking for something serious, you're going to almost always be let down. Now, there's multiple reasons for that. But one of the first I want to talk about is how the modern dating scene works right now. So, as you know, we've never had as much connection with each other as we do now. I'm able to sit here and film a video while I'm walking and everyone in the world can see it potentially, right? Also, we got Instagram, we got dating apps, we got text messaging, phone calls, FaceTime, Facebook. Like there's all these different social media apps and ways of communicating, right? And any woman who's even moderately attractive is getting hit up by dudes. It'll be very hard to find a woman who's even a little bit attractive who doesn't have some sort of options. Now, are those options actually good? Most of the time, no, but they can serve as a distraction. So another thing too is a lot of you guys want to date even more attractive women, and you'll say things like, yeah, I can get dates here and there, but it's not really the girls I'm crazy about. I want the girls that are like the 9s and the 10s. Where are the hottest girls at? How do you get those girls? And it's like, well, if you're gonna go after those girls, it's not just this straight trade-off where everything's great. Like one of the things that obviously stands out with those types of women is they get even more attention. So instead of going off on a tangent on that, I want to bring it back to the topic at hand here. And that is the fact that since these girls are getting so much attention, and since they have so many distractions, and since they are emotional creatures, you don't know what they're going to do at any time. A habit that a lot of guys have is that they'll come across a girl that they have high desire for. They think this chick is just super pretty, super cool, whatever it is, and they drop everything else to just focus on this girl. The problem with that is the girl's not doing the same. Even if a girl is a quote unquote good girl, you can never be sure of whether or not she's talking to someone else or not when you're in the dating phase. Like you guys, a lot of the stuff I'm talking about, a lot of this even happens before a first date. Like I see guys all the time just dropping everything and focusing on this girl. And I'm like, brother, like you guys haven't even gone on a date yet. Like, why are you cutting off everybody else and starting to get kind of in like this relationshipy type of mode with this girl who has no obligation to you, no commitment to you whatsoever, hasn't invested anything into you, and you're just focused on her, and she's not focused on you. You're part of her focus spread out amongst other options, so you need to act accordingly. So the way this will hang guys up that are looking for relationships is they'll be like, oh, I think I found the girl. Like, I think this is the one, and they almost always do it prematurely. They almost do it way too early in the process. They don't even know the girl, like I said, and they're already thinking, oh man, I really want this girl. This is the one I want. I think this one's got potential. And then when something happens, they're super crushed by it. They're let down, hits their self-esteem. The dating scene sucks. Everything's hard. I'm not good at this. I'm gonna be alone forever. Like all this stuff, I've heard it all. So this is one of the reasons why you can't go into dating looking for something serious. You want something serious to find you organically. That is the best way of finding a relationship. The thing about me is I've had years of long-term relationships. For reference, I'm 35 right now. And if I add up all the years that I was in long-term relationships, it's about 13 years. So I've had a lot of long-term relationship experience. I've had also a lot of experience being single, playing the field. And I can tell you this about the long-term relationships. I never once was looking for a girlfriend. I never once was looking for a long-term relationship. Those situations just happened organically. You'll notice like an inherent gravitational pull towards one girl. Like when you're dating multiple women over time, you'll notice that certain girls stand out over the other ones. And you'll naturally want to spend more time with certain girls more than others. And if you want to stay single, that can be a problem and you have to actually manage that. And that can be a challenge depending on your personality type and everything. But if you're looking for a long-term relationship, that girl's just going to naturally start to stand out on her own anyway. So going in with expectations only sets you up for letdowns. Like if you go, I got to find a girlfriend. I'm getting older. I got to find a wife. Time's running out. That's not going to speed up the process. That's not going to make anything better. Just because you want a certain outcome doesn't mean it's going to make that outcome occur more organically. It's not going to increase the likelihood of that outcome occurring. Now, there's certain things you can do. You know, people like to say dating with intention. There are certain things you can do where you're screening for compatibility more so than just like screening for a girl who's down to hook up. So there are things that you'll prioritize more if you have the general intention of like wanting to find a girl who they really click with, right? So it's not that you need to completely abandon this idea of, yeah, I'd like to find a girl that I click with and we get along. It's just that you need to have more of a relaxed approach to it, just like a fight. With a fight, you want to win the fight. With a jiu-jitsu competition, you want to win the competition. You're going to train, you're going to take the actions needed in order to win, but you're going to relax through the process. You're not going to put excessive pressure and expectations on yourself. Same thing with dating. You don't try to force this outcome of a long-term relationship, especially when you're just first starting to talk to a girl. You just don't cut off all your options and you just stop dating, because the girl's not going to do that. Like she's not going to be in that mode. So you're setting yourself up for a letdown, and you're setting yourself up for some bad results by doing that. And in a similar vein, your expectations being let down is what leads to guys resenting women. That's where the female hate comes from. Is they had expectations in the girl, they got heartbroken, or things aren't panning out repeatedly, or they're not getting enough dates. Their expectations, like they expected more, they expected to be doing better. You know, the guy expected to be further along, and now his expectations haven't been met, so he's upset. He's depressed, he's angry. Well, women are the enemy. So, and that's a mindset that's only gonna make things worse for you. Having a toxic view of women, or just like hating women as a whole, that ain't gonna help you. That's just gonna hold you up. One of the like very underrated aspects of being successful with women is having like a genuine love for women. So just in general, enjoying everything there is about like feminine energy and the presence of a woman. You need to enjoy the interactions with women, the things that make them unique. And of course, that's going to come with certain things that irritate you. Like we as men, we're logical, right? So we as men, we're logical. So when we talk to women and they're more in their feelings and their emotions, it can be frustrating. It can be angering as a guy sometimes, because you're like, why can't you just be logical about this thing? Like, why do you have to be so emotional, right? But that's part of the package. That just comes with women, right? But if you have a resentment towards women, they'll feel that. They sniff it out, and even other guys do. Like there's certain creators I've watched on YouTube, TikTok, whatever, social media in general, and they'll make these statements where they say things like, look, I don't hate women, but da-da-da. And I'm like, bro, you can feel the resentment in your tone and the way you talk. You can tell you hate women. Like you can tell you're mad at them. You can tell that some woman got you like heavily in your feelings. And I get it, because negative experiences happen. And I've definitely had my own negative experiences in the past with women. Not all the women I've met have been angels. You can't internalize that stuff though, because it doesn't serve you. Like a lot of this comes down to not internalizing thoughts that don't serve you. You have to identify the thoughts that actually serve you, capture those, and disregard the rest. So anyway, with these walking videos like this, I'm prone to just going on a tangent. It's going to turn into a damn podcast. But let me bring it back to what I was talking about. So if you don't have an underlying love for women, it's going to turn into resentment. And what usually creates resentment is expectations that were let down, right? So if you were expecting to be like at a certain point in life, or if you were expecting to have a certain result, or you're expecting, or you're comparing yourself, that's another one. That's another part of expectations that I wanted to mention. Comparing yourself. If you see guys online or friends of yours doing well with women, or you have a certain expectation of how you should be doing compared to them, you're setting yourself up to be let down, and that's just going to depress you. It's not going to help anything. It doesn't serve you, right? So you have to be careful. If you're going out there with these certain expectations and pressure on things, you're setting yourself up to most likely be let down. You have to go in with a more relaxed view and allow things to organically happen. And that, of course, is with the consideration that you're putting in the right efforts, you're doing the right things, you're getting exposure to the women, you are screening for compatibility, not just hookups, that kind of thing. Again, you can have this general expectation of, I don't feel like sleeping around with a bunch of chicks, I want to find a girl who I genuinely click with. But guys will usually put too much pressure on that. Now, another thing is, if you start getting in this mode of like, I want to find a relationship, I want to find a girlfriend, I want to find a wife, you're going to bleed feminine energy at some point, and it's going to be a turnoff. It's going to leak out of you. I don't care what women say. I don't care what other guys say. I've seen it happen too many times. It's connected to neediness. It's not just about intention. It's not just about having an honest goal and honest intent, because it's a mindset that puts you in a certain state. It's more similar to feminine energy than it is masculine energy, because you're looking to get something. And that is automatically going to put you into this needy state a lot of the time. Because if you think about it, an easy way to think about neediness is anytime you really want to get something or you need something, that's what neediness is. If you're more relaxed about the whole thing and you're fine with things organically happening and coming to you at the right time, and you're in no rush, and you understand that as long as you're taking the right actions, it's going to lead to positive outcomes, You're not going to be needy. That's how you kill a lot of neediness. And this is where a lot of guys go wrong. Another one too is where guys will be like, oh, I'm going to ask this girl to be my girlfriend. Brother, like, no. You want her to be the one to push for commitment. That's not you. Don't do that. You're setting yourself up for failure from the start. Another way to screen a girl in her interest level is where she gets to a point where she's like, what are we? Why aren't you spending enough time with me? I want to spend more time with you. What do I tell my parents? Do I tell them we're official? Do I tell my friends we're together? That's what you want to hear, if that's your goal. You don't want to be in this mode where you're like, okay, I'm going to ask Samantha to be my girlfriend. That's not it, bro. We're back to the feminine energy thing again. You got to cut it out. You got to stop that. That is not serving you at all. There is no upside to that. If you hear nothing else that I'm saying, just understand this. There's no upside to it. It's not going to make her like you even more. It's not going to make her have even more genuine desire for you. And again, I don't care what women say on this topic. This is one of those things like getting female input on certain things can be valuable. I'm not one of these guys that's like, never listen to women. They have nothing of value to say. I don't believe that. I think actually guys undervalue a lot of the things that women say. Because women, a lot of the times, they'll be honest with you and just tell you straight up like what's attractive and what's not. It's just guys won't listen to it or they interpret it incorrectly, but that's another subject. But with this topic, I don't care. You'll see girls say things like, oh, I like it when a guy asks me to be his girlfriend. That made him even more attractive. Nah, don't do it. In this case, watch what they do. Don't listen to what they say. Watch their actions, and you'll be better off by not doing that. Let her push for the commitment. It'll show you where her interest level is at and where her level of investment is, rather than you overshooting it or prematurely pulling the trigger. That's such a huge problem with all this. And like with guys that really want a relationship, after 4 weeks or something, they're like, hey, you want to be my girlfriend? Nah, bro. And this happens with guys of all ages too. Like you would think this is only something that like 17-year-old kids are doing. Nah, man, guys are like 40 are doing this, 50. Like it's common. It's really happening like that. So, if you're one of those guys, just know that it's not the move. And really what's interesting about a lot of this is I've seen comments on other channels on YouTube where people will say things like, oh, this is good advice, like if you're trying to be a player or something, but where's the relationship advice? Like all these guys are just players and living a single life and, they don't know how to get into a relationship or how to hold down a relationship. And it's like, yeah, there are some things that are a little bit different about maintaining a relationship, especially in the long term. There are different subjects that we can talk about. But a lot of the principles that apply to like casual dating or being successful with dating in general, they apply to the long term too. That's why you hear these phrases even in the mainstream of like, never stop dating your girl. Never stop dating your girlfriend. Always continue to date her. And there's truth to that. You should do that. But that is those dating skills applied over the long term. You're dating her over and over again. You're pulling her over and over again. You're seducing her over and over again. But anyway, my point is, if you get a lot of dating experience, the hard part isn't getting a relationship. That's actually the easy part. And for the guys that are having trouble finding a relationship or haven't had a girlfriend at all, that may sound frustrating or irritating. But trust me, when you get enough experience, if you're running enough volume, if you make yourself into the most attractive version of yourself that you can be, and you're putting yourself in situations where you're getting exposure to women and you're talking to a lot of women over and over again, you'll start to accumulate a lot of experience, and you'll start to see what I'm saying. If you're truly getting a lot of exposure and improving yourself with women over time and getting better with them, getting a lot of dates, you're naturally going to end up in situations to where you're going to have to turn down relationships. That actually becomes the harder part of all this, is like breaking hearts per se, or telling a girl like, I had a good time, but I'm not interested in something even more serious than that. I'm not interested in getting into a relationship. That becomes more of the challenge rather than where do I find a girlfriend? That's not the challenge. Getting into relationships is actually pretty easy when you're good at dating and generating options in general. Because again, going back to my earlier point, girls will naturally just start to stand out as options. Like you'll have girls start to stand out to where you're like, I really like this girl more than the other ones. Like you'll start to gravitate towards certain women or hang out with them a bit more than others. And that's just naturally part of the process, and those can turn into relationships. And they can turn into good relationships. So yeah, it's one of those things to where if you don't have enough experience, you'll start to go out there and be like, I want to find a girlfriend, I want to find a girlfriend, I want to find a girlfriend. Whereas if you have a lot of experience, you understand that those situations just come to you naturally, and usually you actually have to shoot down more of those situations than anything. Like, that becomes the problem, to where you're like, oh, damn, all right, we're at that point again. Here we go. She's asking, what are we? She wants to have the talk. You know, she wants to do all this stuff. She wants to sit down and have a chat. She wants to introduce me to her parents. And you're like, you know, don't know if I just want to keep generating options and doing my thing. That becomes the challenge. It's not the challenge of finding a relationship. That's why I say don't go out there actively looking for one. You're going to create expectations and pressure that's just unnecessary. Things will just happen organically. If you go out there, you screen for the women who have interest in you, you screen for compatibility, you're constantly in the mix, you're making yourself more attractive all the time, you're getting better at dating in general. These opportunities for relationships are going to find you. So that's why with my own approach, when I coach guys, the approach I like to take is evaluate, do these guys even have options to start with? Most don't. So it wouldn't make sense to be like, okay, let's go find a girlfriend. What makes sense is, hey, let's logically break down this process, generate more options first, so you can pick a girlfriend from those options eventually. That's the much more efficient way of doing things. Plus the skills that you gain along the way will pay dividends once you're in that relationship, and you won't lose attraction or do things that you regret later on, or look back and cringe at some of the stuff that you did. Now, another thing about this is it takes time to get to know somebody. You have to screen these women for a while. You don't make a girl your girlfriend after 3 months. Like, that's not the play. It takes a while to get to know somebody. Hell, 5-10 years in, you're still learning things about somebody. There's people that have been married 20-30 years and they're discovering stuff they didn't know about the person. Now, I'm not saying that you have to wait 20-30 years to decide to, you know, be in a relationship with someone or get married or whatever, if that's your goal outcome. But there is a screening process to where you got to evaluate this girl for a while, because it's easy to put on a front for a little bit. Like, a girl can act like an angel and act like a saint at first, or for 5-6 months. And then when you start to see her in different situations, you start to see her true colors, or some of that newness starts to wear off. You know, after a year and a half, you'll learn things at different stages. Every 6 months, you'll look back and you'll be like, damn, I learned something new about her that I didn't know about before, right? And that's where screening for compatibility comes in. So again, that takes a relaxed mindset, though, to not rush any type of commitment or outcome, because if you do, you won't screen or vet her properly. You'll rush the entire process because you're just trying to get to the outcome. Again, you're not relaxed, you're not focused on the process, you're not focused on things developing organically. You're just focused on, I gotta get a girlfriend, I gotta get a wife. And it forces you into making bad decisions. It clouds your judgment. Also, another reason too, to not go looking for something serious is your feelings are gonna get in the way. Again, the type of guy that goes out looking for something serious when he doesn't have a lot of options to start with, and he finds one girl that he's interested in, he's most likely going to emotionally overinvest, and that's part of the expectations thing. He's going to emotionally overinvest, then things are going to fall apart. Not only is he going to be devastated, but during that entire period, his judgment is going to be clouded. That's the whole reason to remove a lot of the emotion from the process, or as much as you can. Again, you're human. There's going to be emotion in the process. I'm human too. I have emotions as well. Like, we're going to have emotions in the dating process or when you really like somebody, but you have to temper that desire. You have to temper those emotions in order to maintain clarity. If you do not maintain clarity, you're going to make bad decisions. You're going to get upset at things that you shouldn't. You're going to take things personally that you shouldn't. You're going to expect things to progress faster than what they should organically. It's going to mess everything up. You're going to bleed that feminine energy. It's not going to be a good look. So that's one of the reasons why I like to remove a lot of the emotion from the process, because it's naturally going to get in the way and start clouding your judgment if you don't have control over it. It's just like anything else. You know, just because, if you're on a diet, just because you crave pizza doesn't mean you should eat the diet. So just because you're in the mix with a girl doesn't mean you should spill your guts to her because you've been seeing her for 3 weeks and you really like her. You gotta control these things. You gotta temper your desire. You got to control your emotions, because it'll allow you to have a clear mind. It's not about being some fake stoic alpha guy or acting tough. It's about keeping a clear mind so you can make sound judgments and decisions. So overall, you don't want to go out there looking for a relationship. Let the relationship find you. Make yourself the most attractive option that you can. Keep a clear mind. Remove emotion from the process so you can view things through a logical, intelligent lens. Don't let your emotions make decisions for you. Keep your wits about you. Evaluate this girl, screen her for a while, see who she actually is, what her character is like. Keep your options open. Just because you've been talking to a girl for 3 weeks doesn't mean you abandon talking to everyone else. So understand that the skill sets with all of this transfer over to long-term relationships, marriage, and all that. And the girls that want your commitment, the girls that have genuinely high interest in you, it's going to come about naturally. And when you are an attractive option in general and you have options, women are going to try to lock you down. There's not going to be this process of, let me go find a girlfriend. It's more like, oh, another girl wants to commit. What do I do about this one? You know, do I actually want to pack it in yet, or do I want to keep dating? Am I ready to hang up my jersey in the rafters of the arena, or do I want to keep going? That's what happens when you've turned yourself into like a legit attractive option with women. You don't have to worry about that. It'll come to you. That's the thing, is like there will always be more options, and it's part of that abundance mindset. It's part of having ice in your veins, and it's a part of accumulating that experience and knowing that there's always more women out there. I don't have to force anything. When you're an attractive option in general, the women find you. So stop going out there and putting unnecessary expectations and pressure on things. Enjoy the moment for what it is. Of course, if you do have that outcome of eventually wanting a relationship or wanting kids and a family and all that, that's totally fine. Again, you can pursue goals without becoming overly invested in them or making the wrong moves, like, you know, prematurely just dropping all the options and only focusing on this one girl that you barely know. Now, with all that said, if you want to work with me directly and you want my help to become the most attractive version of yourself and date in an efficient way that will have you generating options with women consistently and understanding the game on a deeper level, then be sure to click the first link in the description, fill out a quick application for the coaching program. And with that said, I will see you in the next one.